Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I hope you all are having a great day because I do. And in this opportunity, I'd like to present you my presentation, my academic presentation. Titled um, "How Do We Listen to Music Nowadays?" Which is music streaming platforms. And mm, uh, before before that, first thing first, um, uh, I'd like to tell you that uh, of my because my lack of video editing skills, so right now I'm using two laptops. Actually, um, the first one is for me to read to see the presentation slides, and the other one is for showing the slides to you. Let me show you. Yeah, so in front of me there is another laptop for me to see the slides. That's why maybe further in this presentation I'll look like that. And let me introduce myself to you. My name is Lukman Adila Rakhmatullah, Lukman for short. My student ID is 0719101029, and I'm from a class 5th semester. And the reason why I choose this presentation topic because this is one of my expertise, and I convinced that this topic will interest the listeners, which is in music, and this presentation is meant for those who do music business, such as songwriters, record label owners, and music producers, and so on. And I shall begin. Um, before we get into the main topic, let's talk about the affable ways of listening to music. Back in the day, people used to listen to music by gramophone, vinyl, cassette tapes, CDs, and MP3s. Yeah, that's all. And let's hop on to the main content of this presentation. So, uh, uh, there are two diagrams which I mean whose source is from Raya, if I pronounce it correctly. And on the left diagram, it is the revenues of music selling in US back in 2015. As you can see, um, uh, digital download, physical selling, and streaming are still reliable. Uh, but two of the most music selling came out from digital download, which is 34%, and uh, the the highest selling is actually from streaming, which is 34.3%. And on the and aside from it, uh, beside it, is the proportion of total US music revenues from streaming, uh, which is increasing stably throughout the years, starting from 7%, 9%, 15%, and there is a significant increasing, in uh, from 2012 to 2013, which is from 15% to 21%, and still increasing to 27%, and the highest revenue, uh, the highest revenues is from 2015, according to date of times in this diagram, which is 34%. And let's move on to the next related diagram slide. Yeah, in this it is actually the third diagram, is the global music streaming paid subscriptions by brand share in percent in 2019. The source is from grid.id.com, and as you can see, Spotify is the most streaming platforms paid subscriptions revenue in 35%, and the others are YouTube Music in 6%, and Tencent Music in 11%, Amazon Music in 15%, and Apple Music is actually competing a little bit with Spotify in 19%, and the last 14% is from others music streaming platforms. And lastly, is global Spotify listener loyalty by genre. The source is from musicxtechxfuture.com. This is the last diagram in this presentation, and I'd like us to focus on the highest listeners, genre listeners, which is metal, or people usually call it heavy metal, and the others, which are folk, country, rock, and hip hop, are actually having the same average of listeners, and the most few listeners comes up from uh, jazz, EDM, classical, and blues, surprisingly. Because as we all know, um, EDM in uh, recent days usually make uh, a good making a good of money actually. And uh, the top about this diagram, I'll tell you in the conclusions later, because all of these three diagrams is actually connected. So yeah, the conclusion can be drawn from this presentation, is that um, if you want to make a living out of music, you really must sell your music in music streaming platform. Be, and uh, as you can see from those diagrams, uh, the highest paid subscriptions revenue is owned by Spotify. Uh, but you can choose another alternative music streaming platforms actually, if you think that you might competing difficultly in Spotify, but I suggest you to sell your music in Spotify. And in Spotify context, um, regarding to the general listeners, the uh, the most the highest, I mean, general listeners is from the heavy metal scene, music scene, actually, and the others such as pop, folk, rock, they are competing fairly, I guess, because they have the same average listeners, and surprisingly, the most few listeners comes up for come from come up from uh, jazz, EDM, and classical music, and yeah, and in this last conclusions slide, um, you can you can think of the meaning of those pictures by yourself actually, but what I mean by this is that um, vinyl, MP3s, MP3s, and cassette tapes are really not reliable in these days, because um, pardon me, because uh, people uh, don't buy music in physics uh, nowadays. So you really must sell your music in music streaming platforms. Yeah, I think that will be all from me. Thank you for listening until the end. I hope you get the benefit of this academic presentation, and have a nice day. Thank you.